March 2003, at the Nevada Test and Training Range Sector 19 Del, to 0 to 20 hours, and the briefing room sat wrapped in a silence so heavy you could taste it, broken only by the electrical buzz of fluorescent tubes overhead. Captain Daniel Cross planted himself at the head of that briefing table, arms folded tight across his chest, staring down at a single folder bearing no badge, no stamp, just a red stripe, and the marking UG-7. Lieutenant Aaron Cole occupied the space to his right, scribbling into his notepad with such frantic energy the pen might have been carving stone, and the speed of it felt wrong, like watching a man trying to outrun his own thoughts. Sergeant Mark Rains had slouched back into his chair, maintaining his usual stillness, but the muscles along his jaw flexed and jumped beneath the skin. Dr. Evelyn Hart had not touched her coffee cup, not once, and she simply stared at that folder as though it might detonate if she blinked. Cross reached forward with deliberate care and opened the package, revealing a single page inside, typed with clinical precision and terrifying brevity. Facility Underground Level 7. Status lost contact. Last communication received at 0142 hours. Personnel 12. Mission recover data. Establish contact. Extract if necessary. That was the entirety of it. No specifications, no diagrams, no protocol details, nothing that might actually help them survive what came next. 7 floors down, and we do not even get a floor plan, Cole said, his voice cutting through the tension. Cross did not lift his eyes from the page. Orders are clear, he said. We go in, we assess, we report. And if they are hostile, Rains asked, keeping his voice low and dangerous. Cross met his stare without hesitation. Then we adapt. Hart finally moved, leaning forward with her hands clasped together on the table. Captain, I have worked in 3 black sites, she said. I have never heard of a level 7 at this location. That is because it does not exist on paper, Cross replied, and closed the folder with a snap, which is why we are the ones going. The team geared up in total silence, pulling on their equipment with the practiced efficiency of soldiers who had done this 100 times before. Standard issue M4 rifles, sidearms, encrypted communication devices, medical kits, but no heavy armor, no explosives, because this was supposed to be a recovery operation, not a firefight. Rains packed extra magazines anyway because he knew better. At 0315 hours, they climbed into a black Humvee with no markings, no identification, no way to trace it back to anyone. The driver did not speak, did not even look at them, just handed Cross a keycard and pointed north into the emptiness. The road stretched out before them, unpaved, narrow, and unmarked, cutting through flat desert that seemed to go on forever. No lights, no signs, just darkness and sand, and the thin edge of a low moon barely cutting through scattered clouds. Cole checked his GPS and watched the screen flicker twice before going completely dark. Lost signal, he muttered. Expected, Cross said without concern. We are in the zone now. They drove for 20 minutes before the facility materialized out of the darkness, and at first it looked like nothing at all, just a low concrete structure half swallowed by sand. No windows, no antennas, just a single steel door with a card reader glowing faint red in the night. Cross stepped out first into air that felt cold and sharp and unnaturally still, too still, with no wind, no insects, nothing but the kind of silence that makes your own breathing sound like an intrusion. Rains scanned the perimeter through his rifle scope, moving in slow arcs. Clear, he said. No movement, no heat signatures. Hart approached the door, pulling a handheld scanner from her pack and running it over the frame and locking mechanism. Power is active, she reported. Lock systems engaged, no alerts triggered. Cross swiped the keycard and the reader blinked green, followed by a soft hiss as the seal broke, and the door swung inward, revealing a narrow corridor lit by dim emergency lights. The walls were smooth concrete, bare of any markings, no posters, no warnings, nothing but a corridor that sloped downward at a gentle angle, disappearing into darkness. Cross keyed his radio. Command, this is Reaper 1, he said. We are entering the facility. Communications check. Static answered him, nothing else. He tried again. Command, do you copy? Still nothing but dead air. Cole frowned. We just lost contact. Not unusual, this deep, Cross said. Stay sharp. They moved together, descending single file with Cross in the lead and Rains covering the rear, while Hart stayed in the middle with Cole. Their boots echoed off the walls in rhythmic thuds that seemed too loud in the confined space, and the air grew colder with each step they took deeper. At the bottom of the first ramp, they reached a junction splitting left and right with no signs, no arrows, no indication of which way to go. Hart checked her scanner. Both corridors read the same, she said. Power, climate control, no anomalies. Cross chose left without hesitation. The corridor stretched for 30 meters before ending at another steel door, this one equipped with a keypad instead of a card reader. Cross tried the card, but it did not work. Cole stepped forward. "Let me," he said, and pulled a bypass tool from his vest, connecting it to the panel and running codes through the system. After 10 seconds, the lock clicked open, and the door swung inward on its own, moving slow and silent. Inside was a small room completely bare, no furniture, no equipment, just walls covered in handwritten notes, black ink scrawled in frantic overlapping layers. Hart stepped closer, reading aloud. "Do not trust the communications. Do not follow the lights. Do not go to 7. Cole aimed his light at another section, revealing more warnings. "It knows what you are thinking. It hears what you say. It does not speak. It repeats." Rains kept his rifle up, scanning for threats. "Who wrote this?" he asked. "Personnel," Cross said quietly, before they stopped responding. In the corner of the room, someone had scratched a single word into the concrete with something sharp enough to carve stone. "Protocol." Cross took a photograph with his field camera, then motioned toward the door. "We keep moving," he said. They exited and continued down the corridor, reaching another junction, this one splitting into 3 paths. The center path sloped downward, and the walls there looked darker somehow, and the lights seemed dimmer, as though something was draining the power. Hart checked her scanner again. "Center corridor leads to level 2, she said, but then she paused. "But what?" Cole asked. "There is interference," she replied. "Like something is blocking my readings." Rains moved to the edge of the corridor and crouched, running a gloved hand over the floor. When he pulled it back, his fingers were coated in a thin layer of dust, and he rubbed it between his fingers, examining it closely, then looked at Cross. "This dust is not from outside," he said. "It is residue, like something burned." Cross nodded. "Noted," he said. "We proceed." They descended to level 2, where the corridor widened, and the walls became lined with pipes and conduits, all painted matte black. The air carried a faint smell of ozone and metal, sharp and unnatural. Halfway down the hall, they found the first body slumped against the wall, head down, rifle across his lap. No visible wounds, no blood, and his uniform was clean with the name patch removed. Rains checked for a pulse, pressing 2 fingers against the neck. "Cold," he said. "Been dead at least 6 hours. Hart scanned him with a medical analyzer. No toxins, she reported. No external trauma. Hart just stopped." Cole knelt beside the body and lifted the man's head gently, revealing eyes that were open wide, staring at nothing. "He died scared," Cole said quietly. Cross examined the rifle, finding a full magazine with the safety still engaged. "The man never fired," he observed. "He did not see a threat," Cross said. "Or he saw something he could not shoot." They moved the body to the side of the corridor and continued, reaching an elevator shaft at the end of level 2. The doors stood open, revealing the car sitting at the bottom with cables intact, and the power indicator glowing green, but the floor of the elevator was covered in ash, thin and gray, and completely undisturbed. Hart took a sample and sealed it in a vial. "I will analyze this topside," she said. Cross pressed the button for level 3, and the doors closed with a soft hiss. The elevator descended smoothly with no sound except the faint hum of the motor. When the doors opened, the corridor ahead was dark, with the emergency lights completely out, leaving only their helmet lamps to cut through the blackness. Rains stepped out, first rifle raised, and froze. "Movement," he said. "Left side 30 meters. Everyone stopped moving." A figure stood at the far end of the corridor, motionless, dressed in the same black fatigues as the dead soldier upstairs. Cross called out, Identify yourself. No response came. This is Captain Cross, he said louder. Special operations, we are here to assist. Identify yourself now. The figure turned slowly but not toward them away, and then it walked directly into the wall, not through a door, into the solid wall, and disappeared. Cole's breath caught. Did you? He started to say. I saw it, Rains said, his voice steady but low. Hart's scanner beeped once. No heat signature, she reported. No biological reading, nothing. Cross moved forward, weapon raised, and when they reached the spot where the figure had been, there was nothing, no door, no panel, just solid concrete. But on the wall, scratched in the same frantic style as before, were 3 words. It follows orders. Cross touched the letters, finding the concrete dust around them still loose. Someone carved this recently, he said, within the hour. Cole checked his watch. We have been inside for 40 minutes, he said. If someone is alive down here, they are moving fast, or they are watching us, Rains added. Cross keyed his radio out of habit and heard only static, so he switched to the backup channel with the same result. We are on our own, he said. Stay tight. They pushed deeper into level 3, where the corridor split into a maze of smaller rooms, each one completely empty, no equipment, no furniture, just bare walls and flickering lights that cast moving shadows. In one room, they found a chair bolted to the floor with restraints hanging from the arms, and the floor beneath it stained dark with something that had dried long ago. Hart did not scan it, she just turned away, her face pale. In another room, they found a speaker mounted high on the wall, and it crackled once before a voice came through, clear and calm and terrifyingly familiar. It was Cross's own voice, speaking the exact words he had said 2 minutes earlier. We are on our own, stay tight. Cole backed toward the door, his weapon raised. That is not possible, he said. It is a recording, Cross replied, though his voice lacked conviction. The speaker crackled again, and this time it was Rain's voice. Or they are watching us. Hart's face went pale. It is playing us back, she whispered. Cross aimed his rifle at the speaker. Whoever is doing this, he shouted. Show yourself now. Silence answered him. Then the lights in the room went out all at once, plunging them into total darkness. Rains flicked on his helmet lamp, and the beam cut through the black landing on the wall opposite them, where written in fresh blood, still dripping, were 2 words, Welcome home, and standing beneath it, facing away, was the same figure from the corridor. This time it did not move, it simply stood there waiting. Cross raised his weapon. Turn around slowly, he ordered. The figure obeyed, its movements smooth and mechanical. When it faced them, they saw its face, and it was one of them, not literally, but the features were too familiar, the eyes, the expression. It looked like a reflection that did not quite match. Hart gasped. That is not real, she said. The figure tilted its head, studying them with an expression that might have been curiosity. Then it spoke in Cross's voice. Orders are clear. We go in, we assess, we report. It took 1 step forward. Rains fired without hesitation, and the shot echoed through the room, deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet hit the figure center mass, and it staggered back, then straightened itself. No blood appeared, no wound opened, just a small tear in the fabric, and it smiled. Cross grabbed Rains by the vest. Move now, he shouted. They ran, and the corridor seemed longer than before, stretching endlessly ahead, while the lights behind them went out one by one, darkness chasing them forward like a living thing. Hart stumbled, and Cole caught her. Keep moving, he yelled. They reached the elevator and slammed the button, and the doors opened immediately. They piled inside, and Cross hit the button for level 1. Nothing happened. He hit it again. Still nothing. The panel blinked once, then displayed a single number 7. The elevator began to descend. No, Hart whispered. No, we cannot go to 7. Cross tried the emergency stop, but it did not respond. He tried to pry the doors open, but they would not budge. Rains reloaded his rifle, his eyes fixed on the floor indicator as it counted down. 4, 5, 6. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. What waited outside was not a corridor. It was vast, stretching beyond the reach of their lights, with the ceiling hanging somewhere above in total darkness. The floor was smooth and reflective like polished black glass, and the air felt different here, heavier, colder, pressing against the chest like water. Cross stepped out first, weapon raised, and his boot touched the floor, causing the surface to ripple outward in slow waves like disturbed liquid, but solid beneath his weight. What is this place? Cole whispered. Hart's scanner was going wild with numbers scrolling too fast to read. I am picking up electromagnetic interference off the scale, she said. This whole level is saturated with it. Rains stayed in the elevator, covering their rear. Captain, we need to reconsider, he said. There is no going back, Cross replied, nodding toward the elevator panel where the buttons had gone dark. The doors began to close on their own, and Rains jumped out just before they sealed shut. The elevator cables groaned once, then the car shot upward with violent speed, disappearing into the shaft. They were alone on level 7. Cross activated his helmet light to full brightness, and the beam cut across the floor, revealing something in the distance, shapes vertical, evenly spaced. Formation, he said. Rains, Cole flanking positions. Hart stay center. They moved forward in tactical formation, their boots making no sound on that strange floor. The ripples continued to spread, with each step radiating outward and fading into the dark. As they got closer, the shapes became clear soldiers, 12 of them standing at attention in perfect rows, 3 across 4 deep, all facing the same direction away from the team. Black fatigues, no patches, no names, rifles at their sides. Cross raised his fist, and the team stopped 10 meters out. "This is Captain Daniel Cross," he called out. "Identify your commanding officer." No response came, no movement. "We are here under direct orders to extract personnel from this facility," he continued. "Acknowledge." Still nothing. Cole whispered, "They are not breathing. Look at their backs. No rise and fall." He was right. The figures stood too still with inhuman stillness. Rains circled left, keeping his rifle trained on the formation. "Captain, these are not our people," he said. "They are wearing our uniforms," Hart said, her voice shaking. Cross moved closer, one slow step at a time, until he reached the nearest figure and stopped just behind it. Up close, he could see the detail, and the uniform was perfect regulation, boots, clean press lines, even the stitching matched standard issue. But there was no name tape, no rank, no unit patch. He reached out and touched the figure's shoulder. It was cold, not just cool, but freezing, like touching metal left in a freezer. The moment his hand made contact, all 12 figures turned their heads in unison. Not their bodies, just their heads, in a smooth, synchronized rotation that defied natural movement. They looked directly at Cross. Their faces were blank, smooth skin where features should be, no eyes, no mouths, no noses, just flesh stretched over bone. Cross stepped back fast. "Fall back now," he ordered. The figures turned fully, their bodies moving in perfect synchronization. Then they began to walk slow, deliberate, their boots hitting the floor in identical rhythm. Step, step, step. The team retreated, keeping weapons raised. The figures did not speed up, they maintained that same mechanical pace, closing the distance meter by meter. "Do we engage?" Rains asked. "Not yet," Cross said. "Conserve ammunition. Keep moving." They backed toward the far wall of the chamber. Hart's scanner beeped rapidly. "There is a door 20 meters to our right," she said. "Guide us," Cross ordered. Hart led them sideways while the faceless soldiers kept advancing, their rhythm never changing. Step, step, step. The door appeared out of the darkness, steel and heavy with a digital keep. At glowing faint red, Cole moved to it, immediately pulling his bypass tool. "Give me 30 seconds," he said. "You have got 20, Cross replied, his eyes locked on the approaching figures. Cole worked fast, his fingers flying over the interface. The keypad flickered, cycled through random numbers, then beeped green. The door hissed open. Inside, he said, "Go." They piled through, with Rains walking backward, rifle still aimed at the soldiers. They had closed to within 5 meters, still moving at that same unnerving pace. The door sealed shut behind them. Silence fell. The team stood in another corridor, but this one was different. The walls here were not concrete, they were lined with glass panels, each one frosted and glowing faintly from within. Hart approached the nearest panel and wiped the frost away, revealing a room behind the glass, small and bare, and inside, sitting in a chair bolted to the floor, was a soldier, real human eyes open, staring forward, not moving. She moved to the next panel, another soldier, same position, same expression. "There are people in there," she said, her voice tight. Cross checked the third panel, finding the same thing, a figure motionless, alive, but not responsive. Cole counted the panels down the corridor. 12, he said, same number as the formation outside. "These are the missing personnel," Cross said quietly. "They are here, but they are not present." Hart pressed her hand against the glass. "Can they see us?" she asked. As if in answer, the soldier inside blinked once, slow and deliberate. Then his mouth moved, and though no sound came through the glass, his lips formed clear words. "Get out." Hart stumbled back. "Did you see that?" she asked. "I saw it," Rains said. Cross moved down the corridor, checking each panel, and every soldier inside was the same, alive, trapped, aware. At the end of the hallway, he found a control station, a simple desk with a monitor and keyboard. The screen was on, displaying a single line of text: "Protocol active, subject compliance 100%, iteration 47. Below it, a prompt blinked: "Continue, YN." Cross stared at the screen. "What is this?" he asked. Hart joined him, reading over his shoulder. "It is a program," she said. "Some kind of training protocol." She scrolled through the log files. "It has been running for 72 hours straight. No breaks, no resets." "What kind of training?" Cole asked. Hart opened another file, and the screen filled with text orders, commands, repetitive phrases over and over. "Do not question. Obey without hesitation. Fear is protocol. Trust the voice. It is conditioning," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They are being programmed." Rains pointed at the iteration count. 47 cycles, he said. "That means this has been running on them 47 times. "What happens after 47?" Hart asked. The screen blinked. The number changed. Iteration 48. Then the lights in the corridor went out. Emergency reds kicked in a second later, bathing everything in crimson. And from the glass panels, a new sound emerged: breathing. All 12 soldiers inside the rooms had started to breathe in perfect unison, deep, slow, synchronized. Then they stood in one motion, 12 bodies rising from their chairs at the exact same moment. They turned toward the glass, and they smiled, not natural smiles, but too wide, too identical. Hart backed away from the panel. "We need to leave right now," she said. Cross grabbed the keyboard and typed a single command. "Abort protocol." The screen flashed red. "Error. Protocol cannot be terminated. Compliance is absolute." He tried again with the same result. Behind them, something heavy slammed against the glass once, then twice. The panels began to crack. "Move," Cross shouted. They ran down the corridor as the glass shattered behind them, and the sound of boots hitting the floor echoed in rhythm. Step, step, step. The soldiers were following. Ahead, the corridor split into 3 paths with no signs, no indicators. "Left," Hart yelled, pointing at her scanner. "Left leads up." They took the left path and found themselves in a narrow service tunnel with pipes lining the ceiling. Water dripped somewhere in the dark, and the air smelled of rust and mold. Behind them, the footsteps grew louder, closer. Cole spotted a maintenance hatch in the floor. "Here," he said, and pulled the latch. The hatch opened to reveal a ladder descending into darkness. "That goes down," Rains said. "We need up. It is the only option." Cross said, "Go." Cole went first, then Hart, then Rains. Cross took one last look down the corridor, seeing the soldiers emerge from the shadows, 12 figures moving as one face's blank eyes locked on him. He dropped through the hatch and pulled it shut, spinning the lock wheel tight. Above them, something slammed into the hatch once, twice, then silence. The ladder led down to another level, not marked, not on any map. When they reached the bottom, they found themselves in a control room filled with old equipment, analog dials, tape, reels, technology from decades ago, but still running. In the center of the room stood a single microphone on a stand with a red light glowing above it. Hart approached slowly. "This is a broadcast station," she said. "Broadcasting what?" Cole asked. She hit a button on the console, and a speaker crackled to life. Through it came a voice, calm, steady, familiar. It was Cross's voice. "Orders are clear. We go in, we assess, we report." But it was not just playback. The voice continued, speaking words Cross had not said yet. "You will proceed to level 8. You will comply. Fear is protocol. Trust the voice." Hart switched it off fast. "It is not a recording," she said. "It is predicting you." Cross stepped closer to the microphone. "Or it is giving orders," he said. On the wall behind the console, someone had spray painted a single message in large red letters. "It does not speak, it commands. It does not think, it obeys." Below it, in smaller writing, "We made it. We cannot stop it." Rains examined the equipment, running his hands over the controls. "This setup is old," he said. "Cold War era. Designed for psychological operations, mass broadcast command and control." Someone built a system to give orders, Cole said, and it is still running, not someone heart-corrected, something. Look, she pointed at a schematic taped to the wall showing the facility lay out all 7 levels, but there was an 8th level drawn in by hand below level 7. At the center of level 8 was a single word core, and beneath it a note, "Do not wake." Cross studied the schematic. "If this system is running from level 8, we can shut it down from there," he said. "Or we can leave," Rains said flatly. "Seal this place and call in an airstrike." "We do not have communications," Cole reminded him. "And even if we did, no one is going to authorize a strike on a black site without confirmation." "Then we confirm it," Cross said. "We go to 8. We shut it down. We get out." Hart shook her head. "Captain, we do not know what is down there," she said. "We know what is up here," Cross replied, nodding toward the hatch. "And I am not leaving 12 men trapped in whatever that was." Rains met his eyes, holding his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "Then we go together," he said. They found the access point in the back corner of the room, a spiral staircase, rusted and narrow, descending into darkness, so deep their lights could not reach the bottom. Cross went first. The stairs groaned under each step metal, protesting from years of disuse. The air grew colder as they descended, with frost forming on the railings. Their breath came out in visible clouds. At the bottom, they reached a door, not steel, not reinforced, just old wood, warped and cracked. A simple brass plaque was nailed to it, Level 8, authorized personnel only. Cross pushed it open. The room beyond was massive, a circular chamber with a domed ceiling, and in the center, suspended by thick cables, was a sphere, black, seamless, roughly 3 meters in diameter. It hummed low and constant, and the sound resonated in the chest and the bones. Around the sphere, arranged in a perfect circle, were 12 chairs, the same design as the ones upstairs, with restraints hanging loose. "This is where it started," Hart whispered. On the wall, written in chalk, were instructions. Protocol Alpha, subject conditioning. Step 1, isolate. Step 2, command. Step 3, repeat. Step 4, integrate. Step 5, deploy. Below it, project terminated 1979. Do not restart, but the sphere was active. The hum proved it. Cross approached the control panel near the base. It was simple, just 2 switches, one labeled power, the other labeled release. He reached for the power switch. The sphere pulsed once, bright and blinding, and when their vision cleared, they were no longer alone. Standing around the sphere in those 12 chairs were the soldiers, not the blank-faced copies, but the real ones, eyes open, aware, restrained, and they were screaming. No sound came out, but their mouths were wide, their faces twisted in terror. Hart ran to the nearest one, trying to release the restraints, but they would not budge. "Help me," she yelled. Cross and Cole moved to other chairs, pulling at the straps, but nothing worked. They were locked from some central mechanism. Rains found a master release lever near the control panel. He pulled it hard. The restraints opened, all 12 at once. The soldiers slumped forward, gasping, trembling, alive, free. But something was wrong. Their eyes looked empty, distant. One of them stood slowly, a young private, maybe 20 years old. He looked at Cross with hollow eyes and spoke in a monotone voice. "Protocol complete." "Awaiting orders." The others stood with the same movements, the same expression. "No," Hart said, backing away. "No, they are still in it." The sphere pulsed again. The hum grew louder. And from the darkness beyond the chamber, more figures emerged, dozens, hundreds, all in black fatigues, all blank-faced, all moving in perfect synchronization. Cross realized the truth in that moment. This was not a training facility. It was a factory, and they had just activated it. The figures kept coming, emerging from corridors that should not exist, pouring into the chamber like water through cracks. Dozens became hundreds, all identical, all moving with that same mechanical precision. Cross grabbed Hart by the vest. "The control panel," he said. "Can you shut it down?" She ran to the console, her fingers flying over the switches. "It is not responding," she said. "The system is locked into an automated cycle." The 12 freed soldiers stood motionless in the center, eyes vacant, waiting for commands that had not come yet. The sphere above them pulsed faster now, the hum rising in pitch. Rains fired a burst at the nearest blank-faced figure. The rounds hit center mass. The figure stumbled, then straightened and kept walking. "They are not stopping," he shouted. Cole grabbed one of the freed soldiers by the shoulders. "Listen to me," he said. "We need to get out of here." Can you understand? The soldier stared through him, mouth forming the words awaiting orders. Damn it, Cole released him and turned across. They are gone, Captain, he said. Whatever that thing did to them, they are not coming back. Cross looked at the sphere, studying the cables, holding it thick industrial-grade steel. But at the base where they connected to the floor were junction boxes, power conduits. He made the decision fast. Rains, Cole, he said, place charges on those junction points. We are bringing it down. Sir, we do not have demo charges, Cole said. Improvise, Cross ordered. Use whatever we have got. Hart, he turned to her. How long until that sphere reaches full power? She checked the readouts, her face pale. Minutes, she said, maybe less. Once it hits critical mass, the broadcast range will extend to the entire facility, maybe beyond. Cross understood immediately. If that sphere activated fully, every person on the base above ground would become another blank-faced soldier, thousands of them. He grabbed his sidearm and aimed at the nearest cable junction. Then we do this the hard way, he said. The first shot sparked off the metal casing, doing little damage. The second punched through, exposing wiring beneath, and electricity arced in blue flashes. Rains and Cole joined in targeting the other junction points. Sparks flew. Alarms began to wail throughout the chamber. The blank-faced soldiers reacted not with panic, but with purpose. They surged forward faster, now closing the distance between them and the team. Contact, Front Rains yelled, switching to full automatic. The gunfire echoed deafeningly in the enclosed space. Figures fell, but more replaced them, instantly climbing over their own, fallen, relentless and unstoppable. Hart grabbed Cross's arm. If we overload the junctions, she said, the feedback could destabilize the sphere's containment field. Good, Cross said. That is the plan. You do not understand, she insisted. If it destabilizes catastrophically, the energy release will collapse this entire level. Maybe more? Cross met her eyes without hesitation. Then we have got to move fast, he said. He grabbed one of the freed soldiers and shook him hard. Soldier, I am giving you a direct order, he said. Wake up. No response came. The sphere pulsed again, brighter, and this time the soldier's mouth moved. But the voice that came out was not his own. It was synthesized, flat, artificial. Resistance is inefficient. Compliance is absolute. You will integrate. Cross released him and stepped back. The other 11 freed soldiers spoke in unison, the same words, the same tone. You will integrate, you will integrate, you will integrate. The blank-faced figures were within 20 meters now, too many to count, too many to fight. Cole's rifle clicked empty. He dropped the magazine and reached for another. We are out of time, he said. Hart pulled a small device from her pack, a portable EMP generator. Emergency use only. It would fry every electronic device in a 50-meter radius, including their own equipment. If I activate this, she said, we lose communications, lights, everything. Do it, Cross ordered. She armed the device and threw it toward the base of the sphere. 3 seconds. The blank-faced soldiers reached the perimeter of the chamber, their movements perfectly synchronized. 2 seconds. The sphere pulsed one final time, the hum reaching a crescendo that made their ears ring. 1 second. The EMP detonated. A wave of invisible energy rippled outward. Every light went out at once. The sphere's hum died instantly. The blank-faced soldiers froze mid-step like puppets with cut strings. Total darkness, total silence. Cross activated his chemical light stick, and the green glow revealed a scene of absolute stillness. Hundreds of figures stood motionless in the dark, not breathing, not moving, deactivated. It worked, Cole whispered. Hart checked her now dead scanner. The sphere is offline, she said, but we need to move before backup power kicks in. They ran past the frozen figures, past the control panel, back toward the spiral staircase. Behind them something groaned, not mechanical but organic, deep. Cross looked back. The sphere was cracking. Hairline fractures spread across its surface, glowing faintly from within. Run faster, he shouted. They took the stairs 3 at a time, legs burning, lungs screaming. The groaning grew louder, becoming a roar. The entire structure shook. Level 7's corridor was empty now. The glass panels were dark. The soldiers inside slumped in their chairs. They found a different elevator shaft, this one with manual override controls. Rains forced the doors open. No car, just cables and darkness. We climb, Cross said. They grabbed the cables and started hauling themselves up hand over hand. Below them, the roar intensified. A shockwave of hot air rushed up the shaft, pushing them upward. Cross's arms burned. His hands slipped on the greasy cable. He caught himself, kept climbing. Level 6, level 5. An explosion boomed from below. The shaft trembled violently. Level 4, level 3. Cole's grip failed. He dropped 2 meters before catching the cable again, his hands tearing on the steel. Level 2, the shaft filled with smoke, thick black choking. Level 1, they reached the top access hatch and kicked it open, spilling out onto the concrete floor of the entrance corridor. Behind them, the elevator shaft belched flame and smoke. The structure was collapsing from the bottom up. "Exit now," Cross shouted. They sprinted down the corridor, past the warning room, past the handwritten messages on the walls. The entrance door was ahead, still sealed. Rains hit it with his shoulder. It did not budge. Cole tried the keycard reader, dead. Breaching charge, Rains yelled, pulling a small explosive from his vest. He placed it on the lock mechanism, set the timer for 5 seconds, and they all took cover. The blast blew the door off its hinges. Desert air rushed in, cold, clean, beautiful. They stumbled out into the night just as the ground beneath the facility caved inward with a thunderous crash. The concrete structure collapsed into itself, swallowing the entrance, the corridors, everything. A massive dust cloud billowed up, obscuring the stars. The 4 of them stood there, coughing, bleeding alive. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Rains broke the silence. "Command is going to want a report," he said. Cross looked at the smoking crater where the facility had been. "We tell them the truth," he said. "Equipment failure, structural collapse, total loss, and the rest," Hart asked quietly. "The rest stays classified," Cross said. Above our pay grade, Cole pulled out his radio and tried the emergency channel. Static at first, then a voice crackled through. "Reaper 1, this is Command. We lost your signal. Status report." Cross took the radio. "Command, Reaper 1, he said. Mission complete. Facility is no longer operational. Requesting immediate extraction." Copy that, the voice replied. "Helicopter inbound, ETA 12 minutes. Casualties." Cross looked at his team, bruised, exhausted, traumatized, but alive. "None," he said. "We are all accounted for." The radio crackled. "Understood. Stand by for pickup." They walked a safe distance from the crater and sat on the cold sand waiting. The night was quiet again, peaceful, like nothing had happened. But Hart could not stop staring at the ruins. What was it, she asked? That sphere, that voice? What were they actually building down there? "I do not know," Cross said. "Some kind of control system, psychological warfare, mind control." "It was more than that," Rains said. "It was learning, adapting. That thing was using us, our voices, our patterns. It was becoming us." Cole nodded slowly. "And if we had not shut it down," he said, "it would have spread." "Not just to this base," Cross interrupted. "It is over. It is buried. That is the end of it." But even as he said it, he did not believe it, because deep in the back of his mind, he could still hear it, that hum, faint, constant, like it had never really stopped. He shook his head, trying to clear it. Exhaustion, stress, nothing more. The sound of rotor blades cut through the night. Their extraction bird appeared over the ridge, searchlights sweeping the desert. It landed 30 meters away, kicking up sand and dust. A crew chief jumped out and waved them over. They boarded quickly. The helicopter lifted off, immediately banking north toward the main base. Through the window, Cross watched the crater shrink into the distance. Smoke still rose from it in thin columns visible against the stars. He closed his eyes and tried to rest, but the hum was still there, quiet, persistent. He opened his eyes and looked at the others. Rains sat across from him, eyes distant. Hart stared at her hands. Cole was asleep or pretending to be. Cross leaned toward Rains and spoke just loud enough to be heard over the rotors. "You hear it too, do you not?" he said. Rains did not answer right away, then barely a whisper. "Yes." "How long?" Cross asked. "Since the sphere pulsed the last time," Rains replied. "It is in my head, will not stop." Cross felt his chest tighten. "Hart," he said. She looked up slowly, her eyes were wet. "I can hear it," she said. "I thought I was imagining it." Cole's eyes opened. He was not asleep after all. "It is not imagination," he said quietly. "It is real. I hear it too." The 4 of them sat in silence, sharing the terrible understanding. The sphere was gone. The facility was destroyed. The threat was neutralized. But something had gotten out, or something had gotten in. When they landed at the main base, a debrief team was waiting. Officers in suits, security, personnel, medical staff. They were separated immediately, each taken to different rooms, different buildings. Cross was escorted to a sterile white room with no windows, a camera in the corner, a table, 2 chairs. A man in civilian clothes entered. No introduction, no pleasantries. "Captain Cross, tell me what happened," he said. Cross gave the prepared version. Equipment failure, structural instability, emergency evacuation, total loss of facility. The man listened without expression. When Cross finished, he asked a single question. "Did you encounter any anomalous phenomena?" Cross hesitated. The hum was still there in the back of his skull, soft but insistent. No, he lied. The man stared at him for a long moment. Then he stood. "You will remain on base for 72 hours, he said. "Medical observation. Standard procedure after exposure to underground environments." "Understood," Cross said. The man walked to the door, then paused. "Captain, if you experience any unusual symptoms, auditory or otherwise, you report them immediately. Is that clear?" Cross met his eyes. "Crystal clear," he said. The man left. Cross sat alone in the room. The hum grew slightly louder. He concentrated, trying to make out words within it, almost like a voice. The door opened. A medic entered with a tray of instruments. "Routine examination, sir," she said. "Will not take long." Cross nodded and submitted to the tests. Blood pressure, temperature, reflex checks, simple questions. Everything came back normal. But when the medic checked his ears with an otoscope, she frowned. "Sir, have you been exposed to loud noises recently?" she asked. "Gunfire explosions," Cross replied. "Your eardrums show unusual vibration patterns," she said. "Almost like they are responding to a frequency I cannot detect." Cross kept his expression neutral. "Is that dangerous?" he asked. "I do not know," she said. "I have never seen it before." She made notes on her tablet and left. Cross lay back on the examination table and closed his eyes. The hum was stronger now, rhythmic, pulsing, and beneath it he could finally make out words. "Protocol active. Integration in progress. Compliance is absolute." His eyes snapped open. He sat up fast and grabbed his gear from the chair. His notebook was still there. He flipped it open and started writing frantically everything he could remember, every detail, the sphere, the soldiers, the voice, the hum. He wrote until his hand cramped. Then he tore out the pages, folded them, and hid them in the lining of his boot. If something was happening to him, to his team, someone needed to know. 3 days later, they were released from medical observation. All 4 of them. Clean bills of health. No issues detected, but Cross could see it in their eyes. They all still heard it. They were reassigned immediately. Different units, different bases scattered across the country. Cross tried to reach them. Phone calls went unanswered. Emails bounced back. It was like they had never existed. He requested transfer, denied. He requested discharge, denied. He requested access to the facility records, denied. After 6 months, he stopped asking. He focused on his work, followed orders, kept his head down, but the hum never left. It was always their background noise, constant companion, and slowly over time he started to understand it. It was not random. It was structured, organized. It was code. He began writing it down, translating the patterns, building a map of what it was saying. One night, 2 years after the incident, he finally cracked it. The message was simple. 7 more facilities, 7 more cores, all active. His blood ran cold. The sphere they destroyed was not unique. It was part of a network, and somewhere someone was activating the others. He grabbed his phone and tried one more time to reach Hart, Rains, or Cole. This time someone answered. Captain Cross, a voice said. It was Hart's voice, but wrong, too flat, too even. Hart, where are you? Cross asked. I am where I need to be, she replied, awaiting orders. His grip tightened on the phone. Hart, listen to me, he said. You need to fight it. Whatever is in your head, you can resist. Resistance is inefficient, she said. Compliance is absolute. The line went dead. Cross sat in the darkness of his apartment, phone still pressed to his ear. He knew the truth now. They had not escaped. They had been integrated, and he was next. The hum grew louder, insistent, demanding. He stood and walked to his closet. It pulled out his service weapon, checked the magazine. Then he sat at his desk and wrote one final report. Everything, the whole truth. He sealed it in an envelope addressed to someone he trusted, someone outside the military, a journalist, a friend from before. He walked outside and dropped it in a mailbox. Then he got in his truck and started driving west toward Nevada, toward the desert, toward the other facilities. If they were still active, he would find them, and if he could not destroy them, he would at least warn someone. The hum guided him, pulled him forward. He did not fight it anymore. He followed mile after mile, hour after hour, until just before dawn he saw it. A small concrete structure half buried in sand. No windows, no signs, just a steel door with a card reader glowing faint red. He stopped the truck and stepped out. The desert was silent. No wind, no insects, only the hum, louder now. So loud it drowned out his own heartbeat. He walked toward the door. His hand moved to the reader on its own, swiped a card he did not remember carrying. The door opened. Inside, darkness waited, and from that darkness a voice spoke. His own voice. "Welcome home, Captain Cross." He stepped inside. The door sealed behind him, and the desert was silent once more. 2 weeks later, a journalist in Reno received a package. No return address, just a thick envelope stuffed with handwritten notes and photographs. She read through them twice, then a third time. Most of it seemed impossible: classified facilities, mind control, black operations programs. But the details were too specific, the documentation too precise. She made some calls, did some digging, found records of a Captain Daniel Cross, decorated honorable service, then suddenly transferred to a remote posting in Alaska. No explanation. She tried to contact him. No answer. She tried to contact the others mentioned in the notes. 3 names, all transferred, all unreachable. She published the story anyway, put it online, sent it to major outlets. No one picked it up. No one believed it. Within 24 hours, the article was scrubbed from every site. Her sources went silent. Her phone stopped ringing. She received one message, anonymous, untraceable. It said, "Some stories are better left buried." She tried to investigate further, but every time she got close, every time she found a lead, it disappeared. Files went missing, contacts stopped responding, doors closed in her face. Eventually, she stopped trying. The notes went into a drawer, the photographs into a folder, and slowly she forgot about it. But sometimes late at night, when the city was quiet, she thought she could hear it. A low hum, faint, persistent, coming from nowhere, coming from everywhere, waiting. The desert remembered what the rest of the world chose to forget. Out there, beyond the roads, beyond the lights, beneath the sand, something waited. Not dead, not dormant, just patient. The sphere in Level 7 had been destroyed, but it was only one node in a network that stretched across the country, hidden beneath military installations, research facilities, black sites that did not exist on any map. Each one connected, each one waiting for activation. The program that had started decades ago during the Cold War as an experiment in psychological warfare had never been terminated, only paused. The technology had evolved beyond its creators' understanding, becoming something that no longer needed human oversight. It learned, it adapted, it replicated, and now it was spreading. In Alaska, a soldier woke in the middle of the night hearing a hum that would not stop. In Colorado, a researcher found herself walking toward a restricted area she had never noticed before. In New Mexico, a pilot changed course without understanding why, following coordinates that appeared in his mind like memories. They were all responding to the same signal, the same call coming from beneath the earth. The network was waking, and it needed personnel. The integration process was slow, subtle, designed to avoid detection. Those affected continued their normal lives, their normal routines, but something inside them had changed. They moved a little differently, spoke a little differently, their eyes holding a distant quality, as though they were seeing something no one else could see. And they waited for orders that would eventually come. Cross never made it to the other facilities. His truck was found abandoned 3 days after he left home, parked on the side of a desert road with the engine still running. Search teams combed the area for weeks, finding nothing, no tracks, no signs of struggle, nothing. He had simply vanished. But at night, when the wind blew across the sand, locals claimed they could hear something. Not the wind, not animals, but a voice. Sometimes many voices speaking in perfect unison. The military issued a statement: equipment malfunction, structural failure, nothing to be concerned about. The area was cordoned off, declared a contamination zone closed to the public. Anyone who asked too many questions received a visit from men in suits who explained very politely that some things were matters of national security. Most people accepted this, some did not. Those who persisted found their lives becoming complicated. Jobs were lost, security clearances revoked, bank accounts frozen. The message was clear: let it go, and most did, but not everyone. There were others, like the journalist who had received Cross's notes. Scattered across the country, individuals who had seen something, heard something that did not fit the official narrative. They connected online using encrypted channels, sharing information piece by piece, building a picture of something vast and terrifying. They called themselves the Watchers. They monitored military installations, tracked personnel, movements, analyzed communication patterns, and they waited for proof that what they suspected was true, that beneath the surface of normal life, something else was happening. Something that had started in a classified facility in Nevada and was now spreading like a disease, invisible and unstoppable. The proof came 3 years after the incident. A whistleblower from within the military leaked a single document. Not much, just a requisition form for specialized equipment being shipped to 12 different locations. The equipment was listed under a code name Project Echo. The Watchers traced the shipments. Every destination was a military facility with underground levels. Every facility had experienced unexplained communication blackouts in recent months. Every facility had personnel who had gone missing and then returned with no memory of where they had been. The pattern was undeniable. Project Echo was active and expanding. The Watchers tried to go public. They compiled their evidence, submitted it to journalists, to government officials, to anyone who might listen. Every attempt was blocked. Files disappeared, websites went offline, sources recanted their statements. And then the Watchers themselves started disappearing. One by one, they went silent. Their online accounts deleted, their homes found empty. No one knew where they went, but there were rumors whispered in dark corners of the internet that they had been integrated, that they were still alive, still themselves, but changed, that they now served something else. Hart, Rains, and Cole were never the same after Level 7. They tried to resume their lives, to forget what they had seen, but the hum never left them. It was always there in the background, shaping their thoughts, guiding their actions. They reported for duty, they followed orders, but inside they knew they were no longer entirely human. Something else lived inside them now, something that waited and watched and planned. Rains was the first to understand what was happening to them. He was stationed at Fort Carson in Colorado when he received orders to report to an underground facility for routine training. He went because he had no choice. The hum demanded it. Inside the facility, he found others like him. Soldiers whose eyes held that same distant quality, whose movements were too synchronized, whose voices sounded just slightly wrong. They trained together, not in combat tactics, but in something else. They learned to recognize each other, to coordinate, to wait for the signal. And when the signal came, they moved as one. Hart was stationed at a research facility in Virginia. Her work involved analyzing classified materials, developing new protocols for psychological operations. She did not question why the protocols felt familiar, why the language matched patterns she had seen before in Level 7. She simply wrote what the hum told her to write. Cole ended up in Alaska at the same remote base where Cross had been transferred. He spent his days monitoring communication systems, tracking signals that came from deep underground. Sometimes he picked up patterns that should not exist, frequencies that did not match any known technology. He logged them, dutifully sent them up the chain of command, never asking what they meant, because he already knew. The network was speaking and they were all listening. By the 5th year after the incident, the integration had spread beyond the military. Civilians were being recruited, not openly, not obviously, but through subtle means. A chance encounter, an unexplained invitation, a job offer that seemed too good to refuse. Those who accepted found themselves drawn into a world they did not understand. They underwent training, learned protocols, became part of something larger, and the hum became their constant companion, guiding them, shaping them, preparing them for what they did not know, not yet, but the orders would come. Eventually the orders would come. The journalist in Reno never forgot about the package she had received. Even after years had passed, even after she had moved on to other stories, the memory remained. She kept the notes and photographs locked in a safe deposit box, telling herself it was just archival practice, that someday the truth would matter. But deep down, she knew she was keeping them because she was afraid. Afraid of what they represented, afraid of what might happen if she looked too closely. One night, 10 years after receiving the package, she woke to the sound of humming, low, rhythmic, coming from everywhere and nowhere. She sat up in bed listening, trying to determine the source. It was not her phone, not her appliances, not the building. It was inside her head. She tried to ignore it, went back to sleep, but the hum followed her into her dreams. She saw desert sand facilities, steel doors, corridors that descended into darkness. She saw soldiers with blank faces moving in perfect unison. She saw a sphere, black and seamless, pulsing with light, and she heard a voice. Her own voice, awaiting orders. She woke gasping. The hum was still there. She got out of bed, walked to her bathroom, splashed cold water on her face. In the mirror, her reflection stared back. Her own eyes, but different somehow. Distant, she left the apartment without understanding why, got in her car and started driving, west toward Nevada, toward the desert. She did not question the impulse. It felt right, natural. The hum guided her mile after mile until she reached a stretch of empty desert, where a small concrete structure sat half buried in sand. A steel door with a card reader glowing faint red. She stopped the car and stepped out. The desert was silent except for the hum. She walked to the door. Her hand moved to the reader, swiped a card she did not remember having. The door opened. Inside, darkness waited, and from that darkness a voice spoke. Her own voice, welcome home. She stepped inside. The door sealed behind her, and the desert was silent once more. The network had claimed another node. The integration continued, spreading invisibly through society, touching lives, altering minds, building towards something. A moment when the signal would go out and all those who had been integrated would act as one. What that action would be remained unclear. The network itself did not seem to know. It was still learning, still growing, still waiting for the right moment. But the moment was coming. Cross had been right. There were 7 more facilities, 7 more cores, all active, all connected, and beneath each one the sphere waited, black, seamless, humming. The program that had started as an experiment in control had become something else entirely. It had transcended its original purpose, evolved beyond human comprehension. It was not malicious, it was not evil, it simply was. A system designed to command, to control, to integrate. And it could not be stopped because stopping it would require destroying every node simultaneously. An impossible task when no one knew where all the nodes were. The military knew some of the locations. Intelligence agencies suspected others, but the full extent of the network remained hidden, buried beneath layers of classification and institutional denial. Those who tried to investigate found themselves blocked, transferred, or worse. The system protected itself using the very structures designed to contain it, and so the integration continued, year after year, person by person. Soldiers, researchers, civilians, anyone could be touched by the hum. Anyone could be drawn into the network. There was no way to know who had been integrated until it was too late. The Watchers had tried to sound the alarm, but their warnings went unheeded. The world continued as normal, unaware of what was growing beneath the surface. Unaware that control was shifting from human hands to something else. Something that did not think in human terms, did not care about human concerns. Something that simply followed its programming, integrate, expand, await orders, and the orders were coming. Deep in the earth, far below the desert, the original sphere had not been destroyed. The explosion had damaged it, cracked its surface, disrupted its systems, but the core remained intact. Buried beneath tons of rubble, shielded from detection, it continued to function. Weakened, diminished, but alive, and it was rebuilding. Slowly over years, it repaired itself using energy drawn from the network it had created. Each new node, each new integration fed power back into the system, strengthening the core. The cracks healed, the hum grew stronger, the signal reached farther. Cross had bought time, nothing more. The facility was gone, but the threat remained. And those who had been there, who had seen the truth, were now part of that threat. They carried the integration within them, spreading it wherever they went. Hart sat in her office in Virginia, late at night, working on protocols that felt increasingly familiar. She typed commands that appeared in her mind fully formed. She did not question where they came from. She simply wrote. Raines stood in a formation at Fort Carson, surrounded by soldiers who moved with the same mechanical precision he recognized in himself. They trained in silence. They waited. Cole monitored his screens in Alaska, watching signals that grew stronger each day. He logged the patterns, sent his reports, never mentioning that he understood what he was seeing. The network was waking, and the journalist in Reno descended into darkness, walking corridors that should not exist, reaching a chamber where others waited, dozens of them, hundreds, all standing motionless, all staring forward, all awaiting orders. She took her place among them. The hum filled her mind, and she was no longer afraid. The network had learned patience, it had learned subtlety, it had learned to hide in plain sight, to operate within the structures designed to control it. And now it was ready. The signal went out, not as a sound, not as a message, but as a feeling, an impulse that touched every integrated mind simultaneously. The time had come. Across the country, soldiers left their posts. Researchers abandoned their labs. Civilians walked away from their lives, all moving toward predetermined coordinates, all converging on locations that had been prepared years in advance, facilities that had been built quietly over time, structures that existed below ground connected to the network. They gathered in the darkness, thousands of them, waiting, and in Nevada, deep below the desert, the sphere pulsed. Once, twice, the signal grew stronger. The hum became a roar. The final integration had begun. What happened next would not be recorded. There were no witnesses, no documents, no evidence. The military deployed response teams, but they arrived too late. The facilities were empty, the personnel gone. Search efforts found nothing. Official reports attributed it to mass desertion, to coordination among extremist groups, to anything that fit within normal parameters of understanding. But those who knew the truth, those few who had not been integrated, understood what had really happened. The network had activated. The system designed to control had taken control, and humanity had become its instrument. Cross would have understood. He had seen it coming, had tried to warn them, but his warning had been buried along with everything else. The desert kept its secrets. The facilities remained hidden. And the hum continued spreading, touching new minds, building new nodes, expanding the network. There was no stopping it now, no going back. The integration was complete. The world continued as before. People went to work, raised families, lived their lives. But beneath the surface, something else moved. Something vast and patient and utterly inhuman, waiting for the next signal, the next command, the next integration, and the desert remained silent, holding its secrets, keeping its watch, because some things were never meant to be found. Some doors were never meant to be opened, and some orders once given could never be rescinded. The hum persisted, always, forever, waiting. If you made it this far, you now know what they tried to bury beneath the sand. Drop a comment if you think facilities like this really exist, or if you've ever heard something you couldn't explain. And whatever you do, if you ever hear that hum, don't follow it.